really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, mother. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, you know, I can't wait. What is it, week 3 with CBS? You are looking live? Well, you're looking live at me inside a suite, a random but awesome suite at Carroll Stadium. And here's what we got working later on tonight. And Joe Gentry is going to join me in a little bit. He has allowed me to make a little bit of fun with the Cup sponsor here. Have some fun with it. Because the Indy 11 tonight match up at 7 o'clock with Greenville. And it is a part of the Jagermeister Cup quarterfinals. Jagermeister. And let's have some fun with it. It's okay, though, Joe. I can have some fun with Jagermeister. I know we probably have some distributor friends out there that may not laugh so much either. But as I mentioned, there's nobody in the world when somebody has said, and it happens all the time, hey, who wants a Jagermeister shot? Nobody says, yeah, me. Okay, nobody says me. Nobody willingly says me. It's always thrust or it's always forced upon you. But nobody says, hey, you know what? Maybe I'd like to have a shot. Who wants some Jaeger? Now, if you're going to do Jaeger, it most certainly has to be chilled. If it's not chilled, then I think you're a maniac if you do it if it's not chilled. But we'll talk about that. The Jagermeister Cup, there's zero way I'm not going to be able to not go in on that, meaning I can't lay off on that the rest of the show here, so I hope you don't mind. Hey, we'll talk about this and the implications of the 7 o'clock start coming up later on tonight and how you can watch. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us. Of course, he and Brad Ring have the call. That's My Indy TV and ESPN Plus coming up later on this evening. The Jagermeister Cup is at the mic where we are today, and it is kind of partly cloudy to mostly cloudy. A little bright in here because of the windows of the suite, but we are hanging on the inside, and you have a busy show from us today. You are welcome. I'll give you the rundown in just a second. But a couple of things I wanted to start with, and I know that some of you still, and we'll take your calls because we missed some of you yesterday at 239-1070. I will have to find, because I did not do that, I forgot to get the text screen up here, but we'll get the text line up too at 317-239-1070 because I think we have kind of enjoyed that so far. But a couple of things regarding yesterday, and I'm not going to wear you out on the subject. People will say you will, but that just, I think, comes with the territory of having 9 hours of focused coverage, and for the most part, it is on the quarterback situation of the Colts, and that has been a constant over the past basically 10 years. But I will tell you this. Before we get into Anthony Richardson and the misguided comments of his agent, I do want to remind you of this. When it comes to the quarterback situation and my thoughts on it yesterday, my thoughts were I'm not a believer in either. And I think I've been pretty clear with this. I just had people asking me regarding the video, hey, you never were a big Richardson fan at all. Why are you so angry? Well, I'm not angry, A, and B, it's not so much the disappointment that I thrust in the area, for example, of Daniel Jones. I mean, he's just a guy that's taken on a gig and won a job and will get the start in week number 1. He's just a guy that's 20 games under 500, and that first stop didn't work, and he is trying to reclaim his career here. We've seen it before. You know, Chris Ballard's brought it up before. Baker Mayfield is a great example of it. Now, I'm sorry if I want to live in a world around here and, maybe that's just how it is. We feel really special because there was a moment when we liked Andrew Luck and we thought that transfer of power at quarterback from Manning to Luck was going to be seamless and spectacular. And then basically after year number 3, it went to hell in a handbasket. You know what I mean? But we thought at that time we were anointed around here. After all those years of garbage and of crap and of 3 wins and of Duke Tomato songs, Lord help our Colts, and guys up on billboards saying we're not going to get any trim until this team wins, and all of these things that we thought at the time were funny. You know, you go back to 1995 when they closed out the season and they made that challenge in the AFC Championship game and then ultimately lost in Pittsburgh. I've always thought about that being the time when everybody around here realized the fun of winning, the enjoyment of winning, and what it's supposed to be like. It's not supposed to be a comedic feature. It's supposed to be something that you can get involved with and win. And when you do it the right way, I mean, you can sit atop the NFL. Certainly the United States' greatest sport to most paid attention to sport, without question. You can sit atop the NFL. And it makes you feel good. It brings everybody together. Certainly the Manning, the Poling, and the Dungy era around here did just that. But it kind of took 1995 and that 3 to 4 week window to get everybody to fully understand what it means. And then obviously the next era truly did take off. But this is not where you're supposed to be. And people say, well, you know, you're not entitled to be given an elite-level quarterback anytime you want an elite-level quarterback. But you also should not be as bad to where you're scuffling as if you're the stinking Cleveland Browns, like this organization looks like most of the time now. If you go back and you look at and I guess I'll call it the post-Luck era, when he was kind of still involved, but at the time, it was still mostly the post-Luck era. It's been an absolute clown show. And really, they've tried every way imaginable, mostly with just putting something together, you know, an old-school piece to the puzzle on the fly. And the only thing that conceivably worked was 1 year of Phillip Rivers and basically all the way up until the last 2 weeks of the season with Carson Wentz. Yeah, that's how high the bar is set right now. Seriously. You got me bringing up Carson Wentz, you know, up until the Raiders game, you know, up until the Jaguars game when the late owner didn't want him basically flying back on the team plane after that, much less wanting him a part of that football team any longer. So that is the scuffle that has been, and it is very Browns-esque. That's what you see right now, or what you should see when you look in the mirror if you're this team or this organization. And my point, more so than anything else, is I don't have a belief in either one of these guys until they give me a reason to believe. But it's not so much, for example, on Daniel Jones. It certainly is on Richardson, and it most certainly is on the Colts, because there has clearly been no development. And that was my major point. It's not, you get involved in all this dialogue, and not me, but others will, on the internet or on social media about, I can't believe that Shane Steichen, he made the decision over the most athletic quarterback of all time. This athletic quarterback can't do anything except maybe throw a 60-yarder occasionally, or he might truck a defensive back occasionally. But the other stuff he does is not becoming of a starting quarterback in the NFL, and sure as hell not a winning quarterback in the NFL. And while you blame him, because it is on him, you also blame those that drafted him and that are expected to cobble something together that is recognizable in the starting quarterback realm of the NFL. Something that you were told to expect, hell, something that you should expect. So, again, it's not about the guy and well, you just don't like Daniel Jones either. You're just trying to find a reason to be angry about something. The last thing I want to be is angry about anything. And I am rarely, if ever, angry. Frustrated indeed. And I think much like most of you, I'm sick and tired of being frustrated. That's just where I am. I'm sick and tired of being frustrated about this. I'm sick and tired of the same old story because all of these are so common with this organization basically over the past 10 years. If you think you're worn out on the subject, you have no idea what it's like yip-yapping about this subject 3 hours every day. It just never goes away. So, it's not me trying to create something to be angry, to be mad, to stir the pot. I don't have to stir the pot because the group on West 56, they do it themselves. I don't need to stir the pot. And believe me, if they did well and played well, if they play well, if this decision turns out to be exactly what is necessary, that's how I will describe it. But how in the world can you buy or believe that will take place when you're told all this other stuff and we have seen the results of everything else? You can't, and I won't. So it has zero to do about disliking Richardson or disliking Jones or just finding a reason to be upset about a topic or two. It has everything to do with organizationally where this group is and just how galactically disappointing this has been. Because think about it in terms of your quarterback. And I think there's a deeply rooted subject matter that is more important here. It's not just about not playing or the lack of playing at Florida or being 23 years of age and young. This guy has not been proven to be ready. This guy has not been coached up to be ready. And you're number 3 in week number 1. And you can't win or wrestle a job away, no matter what it takes here, from a guy that's 20 games under 500 in his NFL career. That is what you should focus on. That is the disappointment. And that, just simply put, doesn't easily go away. So full discussion, I'm sure, on that. I wanted to make sure I clarified. And I know I saw Stephen Holder's article regarding the agent of Anthony Richardson. You know, the lack of trust that he suggests the Colts are showing. Listen, if your guy's not good enough, you probably ought to blame your guy. Now, certainly you can blame the Colts, but there is nothing more this group would like to do than not be jacking around with this. So it's your guy. Now, it's also the Colts, because I'm blaming everybody on this particular watch. But the Colts would trust your guy if your guy could play. And as of right now, it must be clear he can't, because he's not a starter in week number 1. So that's a bunch of crap. I will say this. I saw where Stephen had written, he came up short of asking for a trade, so he's not doing that. But this whole thing, and that particular angle, you got to defend your guy and all. But what do you expect? Honestly, what do you expect? And I'm assuming that his reps and those around him probably feel the same way as what I just discussed. The fact that you can't beat out a guy like Daniel Jones going into year 3 with time to work, with time to get it going, with time to study, with time, all the things that Shane Steichen mentioned, you should be able to do that. That's not, the accuracy. We're talking about just managing this team, this offense, while it's on the field, more so than we're talking about anything else right now. That's incredibly disappointing, But we have time to discuss it. We'll do so over the course of the afternoon. I mentioned former Colts tight end Charles Arbuckle is going to join us. He's a part of the Colts Radio Network. That comes your way at 5:30. We've got Pat Boylan, talks a little Fever, a little Pacers, some Rick Carlisle extension with Pat coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Bowen's going to drop in here as well, fresh off a video. James, you see that shirt he was rocking the other day? That was very much Where's Waldo. Like, people are making fun of this pink shirt I have on right now because I look like I'm from Valley Girl or from Karate Kid in 1983 or 1984, and I respect that. That's probably the case. But somebody had asked me if Kev had a Where's Waldo shirt on. I don't know. I didn't notice. I saw the stripes, the red and the white. Was that a Where's Waldo shirt that you saw in that video?
It certainly kind of looked like one, didn't it?
Cool. All right then, man. Well, that's his era. I mean, listen, pink collared shirts that look like that I'm going to the Cotillion in Beverly Hills with John Lawrence of Cobra Kai and hanging out with that particular group. That's my particular era. So it all makes sense, I guess. Where's Waldo? With Kevin Bowen's going to join us coming up at the 4 o'clock hour. And friend of this program, Lance McAllister, the big one in Cincy. A couple of different levels. The Bengals, that preseason Game 3 matchup coming up on Saturday afternoon in Cincinnati. And the Reds out west with the Angels, 3 consecutive wins? 2 straight over the Angels? Come on, Joe. Join me over here. You want to sit down here? Here comes Joe Gentry. If you're watching via the AAA Membership Lounge, that's YouTube Live, you can see right here, I'm going to sidle up in this chair, the legendary Joe Gentry. So I can make fun of Jagermeister as much as possible today, even though this is the Jaggermeister Cup at Carroll Stadium tonight.
If I told you not to make fun of them, I don't think it would go any differently. So
probably would.
You got to be you.
But I want to make sure that I have your blessing in doing this. I do. Nicely done. So what is this Jagermeister quarterfinal cup thing about here? Explain to folks.
38 teams started playing. It's League One and also the USL Championship. So 38 teams started. First year ever Indy 11 has been in it. The group play went great. Indy 11 had the most points of any of those teams. And we had a shootout win here, our first ever shootout win that Greg Rakestraw called. And now we're down to the knockout round. So I don't know if you had those when you were playing Gus Macker tournaments in Bloomington. Did you have knockout rounds?
Yeah, sometimes in the toilet bowl you do, yeah. You get in the toilet bowl and the Gus Macker, and you get a toilet bowl knockout. Yeah. It was always embarrassing if you were the first team to get knocked out of the toilet bowl. That probably meant you were playing with 1 or 2 dudes wearing jean shorts. That's normally how that went, if you got knocked out that early.
Was that you?
I was not wearing jean shorts. I wore the proper attire back then.
I was counting on that.
Those that get knocked out early, I don't know, is that the case here? The teams that get knocked out early, were they wearing jean shorts out here too?
Well, I'm not sure about that, and that's something we talked about for All Things Indiana night on Saturday. We talked about some version of jean shorts. But
yeah, you got your cut-off jean shorts out there. Normally those are ones that don't seem fully team-oriented or maybe at that moment invested.
Well, and you go back to my era, that's White Men Can't Jump, right? So you think of Woody Harrelson, right?
Yes. Eddie White wants to know if the best college soccer coach is on the field. I think we know who that is, don't we?
I don't see her. But we're limited view here in suite number 12.
Shout out to Eddie, by the way, who just sent that as well. We're underway at 7 o'clock later on tonight. You can come here, and, of course, the weather's going to hold off. It always does. It seems like every time we come here that the weather does threaten a little bit, but it never goes past threatening. True.
You're the good luck charm with the Lindsay Monroe karma, everything it takes for that. So we're excited.
Yes.
Every seat tonight is $15. So if you want to sit right where JMV is sitting, $15.
This $15 right here where I'm sitting on the stool?
And you can pay cash here.
Because people don't know we could turn the camera around. Not only do we have a view of the mic and the pitch down here, but we have Alice on behind us too. The great sitcom. This one's the 1980s because I believe that is Jolene. Jolene, if you remember, Jolene was one of those that took over for Flo. Holly Holiday.
Were you okay with that?
When she went with that spinoff that didn't last.
Yeah.
No, it was unfortunate. Yeah, she should have stayed there. Much like McLean Stevenson should have stayed with MASH. Big mistake. Wayne Rogers should have stayed with MASH. Big mistakes by both. You can't hate Alan Alda that much. You got to go ahead and get with the program, understand what you have. Unfortunately, they didn't. And I think Polly Holiday was a little bit of the same back then.
Well, and we let you control. If you want to watch Alice as the lead in to Greg Rakestraw at 7 o'clock.
You want me to? I can sing the theme song if you guys want. Linda Levin, I think it's been like a year or so since she passed away. But, yeah, right in the background right here. All right, what else will people see, witness later on tonight? A nice Wednesday night at the mic, Joe.
And it's going to be fun, and our guys happy to play at home, and you've got a team from the level below. And Brandon Fricke is a Butler alum that plays for Greenville.
Yes.
So Bulldog fans, we love to have you out here. You can cheer for Brandon, but we want the boys in blue to win. So this is fun. After tomorrow, they'll draw to see what happens in the next round.
So how's that take place, too? Tell me, you win tonight, and then how are you going to play this?
You would get up, as you usually do, and watch the morning footy show on CBS Galazo Sports Network to get your fill of soccer.
Wait, what? CBS Galazo, what is this?
Morning footy show, FOOTY, 9:30.
CBS Galazo?
Sports Network.
Do I have that on DirecTV?
You probably don't.
I have CBS Sports Network. I know
Correct.
that.
Yeah, you need to go online.
CBS Galazo. What in the hell's Galazo mean?
That's a fantastic goal. I learned that in my 1 year at Indy 11. Galazo, right? Have you made a –
What language is this?
Did you make a three-pointer last night and say Golazo?
I took 2 years of Spanish at Easton Green. I never learned a word like Galazo. What is that? Is that
Did
Italian?
You pass?
Barely. I knew the cuss words really well.
See, it's kind of a Hoosierized Italian, right? Or Spanish goal.
Okay.
Golazo.
Like Milan. Yes, Milan.
Sure. Or Versailles, Indiana.
Hoosierized Italian, which I can do that incredibly well right there. Galazo. Had no idea. So, and then if they win tonight, we await the draw on
Maybe on to the semis.
Sports Network Galazo.
Yep. And so for us, the team made a run to the U.S. Open Cup semis last year, first year for Coach Sean McCauley, and now we're trying to make a run that far and further with a win tonight.
And we had a little trek, I believe, did we not? To who'd you take to the State Fair?
We took Reese Charles Cook. Reese Does America.
I like that. Reese Charles Cook.
So
it sounds very stoic.
British.
Yeah, very smart right there.
He's British, young guy, born on my 30th birthday.
Can we call him, what, is he Sir Reese?
Well, he hasn't been knighted yet, but that's why you should come out tonight.
Gotcha.
But earlier this year, in the Jagermeister Cup, the team went to Knoxville. Reese made his first trip to Buc-ee's. So that content is on social media. So picture a British guy coming into Buc-ee's for the first time.
And tried a corn dog, I guess, for the first time.
Tried a corn dog at the State Fair.
Didn't like it.
He didn't like that.
How can you like fish and chips and not dig on a corn dog? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, I'll ask him that.
The fish and the chips is fairly lousy anywhere you go in England.
Yeah.
But they love it,
and
right?
you've been there, right? Your international football travel?
I did. I loved it, too. I love going there. 2016.
Are you going to Germany?
Great weekend. No, I don't want to go there.
Okay.
Germany in November. Berlin, what is that, November? Yeah, I'm not down with that. So
we have Oktoberfest here at Carroll Stadium in September 27th. So it's a shorter trip.
Oktoberfest is all right, though.
And we've got boots that you can order your German beverage in that night. Got 11 local brewers coming out.
Das Boot. That's what they have at the Schnitzelbank down in Jasper.
Yes.
Have you ever drank from Das Boot?
I have not.
Oh, dude. Come on, man. Seriously. Das Boot is legendary right there. All right. Well, more to come with Joe in a little bit. Cool? Joe Gentry's got all the information from the Indy 11, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. I'm going to find a way to get on 317-239-1070. That is the text line. We'll do that. If you're on hold, I'll get to you at 239-1070. The stream, the app, it is HD radio, and a lot more to come from the mic with the Indy 11 and Greenville in the Jager Cup quarterfinals at 7 o'clock later on tonight. But first, Lance McAllister from Cincinnati, the big one, 700 WLW, and more about the Bengals, about Trey Hendrickson, and about the Reds with Lance coming up next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of damn nerds.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Not on my watch, everybody. Yeah, the real reason you should be disappointed with where the Colts are right now, it should be obvious, but to many it's not. You just think it's some pissing match between one quarterback and the other here. It's not. Much deeper, much more disturbing, and incredibly disappointing. Back to that in a second. Carroll Stadium, Indy 11, Greenville, the Jaggermeister Cup quarterfinals. Shout out to Chris Woldridge, who said Jaeger bombs. Ugh. Can you imagine? I would just say, all right, I don't want the Jaeger shot. You got any bourbon over here? I mean, anything else? Got any num-nums? Like any buttery nips or, Sex on the Beach or like the num-num shots? I can't do that Jaeger stuff. Hey, Joe, do you do Jaeger shots?
If we win, I will on the air.
All right. So if they win later on tonight, Joe Gentry is going to do Jaeger shots. Now, I will say this. If you got yourself a home bar and you've got one of those Jagermeister chilling machines, that does look pretty cool. But it still tastes like that. That's weird. Chilled, it's not doable, but it's warm. I think you're a maniac, warm. The Jagermeister Cup quarterfinals tonight at 7 o'clock. Joe rejoins us. Rakestraw in a little bit, too. Charles Arbuckle later on. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he has a great deal to talk about. And I'm assuming Lance McAllister, the big one over in Cincinnati, who joins us now. Was it fun watching Joe Burrow get his ass whipped in that last preseason game? What was going on with a lot of that? My man was running for his life in a preseason game. That can't be right.
JMV, first, let me not bury the lead here. I need you to understand you have been in the last few minutes, and I've been listening online, you have been sitting in the presence of Butler Broadcasting royalty. I want you to know, and I want your audience to know, Joe Gentry and the likes of Scott Hoke and Jeff Beck were my mentors as a snot-nosed freshman in 1984 out of Carmel High School when I had no idea what I was doing. And I say this in all seriousness. What they taught me, the ropes they showed me, taking me on road trips for Butler basketball, some stories the statute of limitations not up on I can't reveal. But trust me when I say Joe Gentry and Scott Hoke and Jeff Beck and those guys, they meant the world to me in getting me going at Butler University.
So, Lance, here is Joe Gentry, who just so happens to still be here right now.
Surprise, the check's in the mail, Lance. I owe you, man.
Oh, man. I mean, when I heard your voice, the flashbacks I was having and thinking of the Joe Sexton days of Butler basketball with Chad Tucker and Darren Fitzgerald, and Joe Sexton would get mad at me for a question I asked in the pregame I'm trying to tape, and just being around you guys who were, I think, a couple of years older than me at that point, I truly mean it. It was a learning experience that I truly cherish and value still today.
Well, we enjoyed waiting with you on Saturday afternoons for the opera to end so we could start the broadcast of basketball at Hinkle.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
This is like a little reunion from Butler right here, is it not? That's nice.
Well, when you
have to call Rich Nine a little bit.
When you ask me about my Butler experience, I think of legends like Jim Phillippe and Ann Harper, and I think of Joe and Scott, and I think of Jeff Beck, and that, life was good back then. Man, what a run.
Yeah, Joe is the salt of the earth right here, Lance, and you know that to be true. It's it's evident why you guys are so good at what you do, because you guys are fantastic, and you got that tutelage as he gave to you and you do to others, and now you get to talk up Cincinnati sports and more over there. So it all has worked out fantastically. Shout out to Butler, Lance McAllister.
And now back to your original question, which I do have thoughts on. The moment Joe Burrow scrambled out of the pocket Monday night, and I swear everything slowed down. He may have scrambled for 11 seconds. It felt like it was 11 minutes. And it was kind of like that slow motion, no, and I'm yelling, go down. And then I'm yelling, run out of bounds. And then I'm yelling, just throw the ball away. Then I'm yelling, duck and cover, curl up in the fetal position. Then he gets dragged down on the horse collar, and the season I'm not exaggerating. It flashed before the eyes of every Cincinnati Bengals fan when that happened.
Yeah, that is the last thing you obviously want to see in a preseason game. Hey, Lance, what is their approach coming up in this final one on Saturday? I think we know over here what the Colts' approach is, and obviously the soap opera quarterback continues the long game around here. But what's the approach from the Bengals going into Saturday?
I don't think you're going to see many starters at all, if any. Des Ridder, the former UC quarterback who's spent time in the NFL, he's probably going to quarterback most, if not all of the game. They're going to look to, and Zach said today, look, they completely changed their philosophy. They played the starters a couple of series in the first two games. He's never done that. He came from the Sean McVay model with the Rams and finally changed it this year in an effort to get off to a faster start. He said today he's learned a lot about his football team through the two games. I don't think there's much more that they have to find out in the third game. And I will also have this, and listening to you talk about the Colts, and I shouldn't laugh, but your quarterback situation there, it reinforces just how blessed this city is to have somebody like Joe Burrow. The defense may not be able to tackle. They may not be with Trey Hendrickson right now. The offensive line may have issues, but we know at the end of the day here, as long as there is Joe Burrow under center, this team's got a chance to probably win 9, 10, 11 games, go to the playoffs, and maybe win the Super Bowl.
Lance, I've mentioned this to you before. There was a moment in time on a Monday night when the Bengals quarterback and wide receiver, that was Carson Palmer and Chad Johnson, then made the trek up I-74 to take notes on the Colts playing on Monday nights. And certainly to look at what they had at quarterback and at wide receiver and their operation, which unfortunately is long since now in the rear view around here.
Yeah, and it stresses, and I say this a lot about the Bengals organization, the fortunate situation they're in with Joe Burrow and how that has to be treated, because you never know how fleeting it can be, whether a quarterback abruptly retires or he gets hurt or he's just not as good as everybody envisioned. But when you strike gold, and I always say the Bengals did nothing to get Joe Burrow other than suck. They were the worst team in the NFL. They were gifted Joe Burrow in the draft. So I think because of that, you have to do everything and then some to take advantage of the window you're operating in with him. And one of many frustrating things is this team has issues and questions about its offensive line and how upright Joe's going to be able to stay. And to me, that stuff is maddening when you have such a gift like Joe Burrow.
So Lance McAllister from Cincinnati, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Any updates on the drama that you have playing out over there right now with Hendrickson and whether or not how this is going to work out, I guess? I mentioned the long game and the short game here, but how is that going to ultimately work out with the Bengals?
I still believe they will get a deal done. I almost would be willing to push some chips into the middle to say he plays week one. He'll be on limited snaps because he's not going to have, obviously, enough camp to really get up to speed. But I think the Bengals all along have had a number in mind where to themselves they thought, all right, we'll end up giving him this amount. We really don't want to, but we will. And Trey, he can be very stubborn. He's a different kind of guy. But I think both sides will ultimately realize it's in everybody's best interest if he plays. He's going to get gobs more money because the contract he was going to play under vastly underpaid him. I don't think he'll ultimately get what he fully wants, but I think he'll get an awfully nice raise and he'll play.
All right. The Red Legs are, as of right now. Give me your description, because I've been digging it recently. There's no doubt they had a couple of opportunities they missed out on early on in that series against the Brewers, but that final game and then out in Southern California here recently, things have been much better. What are you thinking about this group right now?
Well, if I could quote the Simple Minds song from 1985, they are still alive and kicking. And I think had you told anybody at the start of going back to the spring or after an off season where they didn't bring in the big bat, had I said on August 20th with 35 games remaining, they would be one single game out of a playoff spot, I think everybody would have signed up for it. They're not perfect. They're very frustrating. The Brewer series was a classic example. The bullpen's running on fumes. They need a whole lot more out of Matt McClain, but the new pieces they got in the trades have infused some energy and offense to this team. Nueve Marte settle in right field, and they're still swinging. And I think this city, they love the grit and the fight and what's in the DNA of this team. And, there was such a rush by some. There's an old saying around here. If the Reds can just keep us interested till Bengals training camp starts, I'll be good. And I've never subscribed to that because I think it writes off the Reds too easily. And I truly think there are some fans right now who have written off the Reds and moved on and are ready for football. And yet I say, hey, take a look here. One game out with 35 to go. This is what you sign up for. This is what sports is supposed to be about. I can't guarantee you they're going to make the playoffs. I can't guarantee you they're not going to lose tonight and get swept over the weekend. But this right now with 35 games to go, this is fun.
What did you think about the performance of Hunter Green last night, Lance?
The guy's he's a stud. I mean, when they can keep him healthy, knock on wood right now, he just has a presence on the mound where he takes control of a baseball game. And if he can give them 7-8 more starts the rest of the way, I like this team's chances. I'm not ever going to say they're perfect because they're not. They're very flawed. But they've got pitching that gives them a chance to win just about every single night out, and there's not a whole lot of teams in baseball who can say that.
Yeah, he was pretty inspired last night.
Yes.
Do you think he got a quick hook? I kind of thought that last night a little bit.
It was weird because my sense was when he walked off the mound in the sixth and he slammed his chest, I'm thinking, man, momentum is all Reds right now. But then in that seventh inning, I don't want to say he lost focus or hit a wall, but then there was that moment where you thought, okay, things are getting a little bit sideways, and I would make the case as taxed as his bullpen is, you lean on him a little bit longer. Tito didn't do that, and it ultimately it got sideways, but it worked out.
Man, it would be so great if they were able to get into the postseason in some form or some fashion. And you're right. Those first two games, especially when they got up, a 6-7 run lead in that initial game against Milwaukee, lost it. And then lost, but bounce back in the series ender, and then do what they normally have done here recently against the Angels. I mean, it's nice to see that right now because certainly more times than not with this Reds team, Lance, we've been talking about something much different this time of year.
No question. And what they did at the trade deadline, was it ultimately enough? I don't know. It didn't seem like enough at the time because we've talked about this before. This city and the fan base has craved the big, elusive bat for going on 3 years, and they didn't get that. But for the moment right now, Ke'Bryan Hayes is a difference maker defensively. He's the best third baseman this franchise has had since the days of Scott Rowland. He impacts games with his glove, and he's even hit a little bit. But what they've been able to unlock moving Nueve Marte to right field, and he doesn't have to think about third base and think about his throws from third base to first base. He's not a gold glover in right field, and he's still learning. But, man, what he does at the plate, and Miguel Andujar, everybody knew he hit left-handers coming in. He's earned quickly an opportunity to play every day, and that guy's just mashing baseball, and it makes a difference for a team that's really struggled offensively to string together runs.
I do like Andujar. Hayes, he is phenomenal with the glove. It's weird, right? He came over there, and I think he booted the first attempt that he had after that deal. But since then, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's even, in 100 games with the Pirates, he had 2 home runs. He's been here, I think, 16 games, and he's already hit 2 home runs. Now, I don't expect him to be a silver slugger at the position, but based on what he gives you offensively, if he can just give you a little bit of offense, you'll take it right now because he's making a couple of plays a game that make you sit up and say, holy crap, how did he just do that?
It's our good friend Lance McAllister, who at this time is trying to put together a combination live show at a Jungle Gyms location over in the Queen City. I await word on that getting done with you and I doing a show at some point over there together. I'd love it.
High level, behind the scenes, backroom conversations ongoing.
Buddy, it's always good. I love you catching up with Joe Gentry as well. We'll do it again very soon.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
That was really cool. I'm glad I could do that. Thank you. Always good catching up.
It's Lance McAllister, the big one, 700 WLW in Cincinnati, Carroll Stadium, the Jaggermeister Cup quarterfinals with the Indy 11 in Greenville coming up at 7 o'clock tonight. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us. Kevin Bowen also on the show. We've got Pat Boylan and we've got Charles Arbuckle all on the way. And your calls at 239-1070. Text stream or the text line at 317-239-1070 as well. Stream the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You guys a drink? Guess not.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Alive and kicking. Shout out to Lance. Jim Kerr and Simple Minds, by the way, James. Good re-entry. JMV Takeovers, 80s on Saturday night. Simple Minds would apply at the mic, the Jaggermeister Cup quarterfinals. You guys are all saying, like, Jaeger bombs. You guys really like Jaeger bombs? Come on. Yeah, I saw where Anthony Richardson's agent, this is through Stephen Holder, an ESPN.com article, quote, "We have a lot to discuss regarding dialogue with the Colts that the agent wants to have. Jackson, which is the agent of Anthony Richardson, believes Tuesday's decision and some previous situations involving Richardson have damaged the team's credibility." Well, I wouldn't say he's altogether wrong there. Richardson was benched for 2 games last season. The credibility he's talking about is not the credibility that we don't believe in right now, by the way. Richardson was benched for 2 games last season, with Steichen saying at the time that Richardson needed to improve his game preparation. The team quickly reinserted the 2023 number 4 overall selection into the starting lineup after suffering 2 consecutive losses with veteran Joe Flacco. Quote from Jackson, "Trust is a big factor, and that is at best questionable right now. Anthony came back and made the improvements in the areas he needed to improve, and by all accounts, he had a great camp." Get to more of that coming up in just a minute. Hey, I owe some calls here, James. Did anybody call back from yesterday late in the show that I need to get to right now? I don't know if I have this in front of me.
I think we had Ramon on the line yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. He's waiting on hold right now.
Ramon's at 239-1070. Ramon, my bad. I do not mean to make you wait once again. Go ahead.
Oh, man, no, I appreciate you, man. You got the hottest show in Indiana, man, when it comes to the sports. I'm going to get right to it. I know you got a lot going. Finishing up on yesterday, the NFL is the greatest marketing scam going. According to Pro Football Focus, 19 of 30 teams got an under 500 record in the last 10 years, including the Colts, the Bears, my area, home area, the Bears. Yeah. And many others, the Giants. I mean, it's just really something how you got all these bad teams. And then, like I was saying, Jeff Garcia did that study. He went back 25 years at all first-round quarterback picks, and over 70% of them failed. And he attributed it to bad organization, he didn't really blame the coaches so much, but he really said the organizations are. And I hear you yesterday said Steichen and Ballard failed Richardson. The bottom line is this. Look what Cleveland is doing over there. These organizations are horrible. They're horrible the way they do these quarterbacks. I mean, Josh Allen, you had the guy on last year. I heard that interview when he said the Bills stuck with Josh Allen through his growing pains and stuff like that. Lamar Jackson got criticized. I mean, Pat Mahomes said he couldn't even read defenses the first year. He just was out there winging it. So, you know.
Well, how bad then does Anthony Richardson have to be, Ramon? Do you blame the Colts for not putting things together for him, or Richardson from not doing it for himself? Who do you blame here?
I blame the coach because everybody told him that he was not ready after 12 games, only 12 games playing in Florida. And if Houston was at 2, they were at 4. You got Stroud. Who was Bryce Young? Remember, Bryce Young finished the last 8 games last year on a tear. He looked real good. Now he got receivers. He got some line. I expect Bryce Young to really have a good year this year. So I blame the organization because they were warned. They were warned that he only played 12 games and he was a raw product, sort of like how the Bears did Mitchell Trubisky. He'd only played 12 games, and look what happened to Trubisky. So let's put the onus on these organizations. They're supposed to have all these scouts, all this knowledge, the college coaches. They got the tape. They got all this, and they continue to run through 70% of the first-round picks don't make it, JMV. That is really telling. And then let me ask you something, JMV. What makes you think that the only person that was worse than Richardson last year in the NFL Pro Football Focus was Daniel Jones? What are we looking at here? What are we looking at?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Hey, Ramon, thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it. What are we looking at? A lot of what we've seen in the past. That's why I can't buy it. And it's not playing both sides. I'm playing it right down the middle with this group right now. You can't buy it because those are the stats. That's what's been real. All this other stuff is just hope, just pipe dreams until you see it occur. That's what I believe. Thank you, Ramon. Quick break. We'll come back to the mic. More on that. Kevin Bowen on the other side. Charles Arbuckle, Pat Boylan, and 239-1070. Your calls. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Carroll Stadium's our location. The Jaggermeister Cup quarterfinals with the Indy 11 in Greensville. Sounded like I said Greenfield. Greenville. 7 o'clock tonight, Greg Rakestraw. A little bit later on in the show, he and Brad Ring have it on My Indy TV. The Indy 11 and Greenville. By the way, I do have the text line up right here, so start sending stuff. Whether or not you would drink a shot of Jagermeister if somebody sent it your direction. Or do you go, hey, man, come on, just send some bourbon. That is the text line, 317-239-1070. Plus, I know what James's answer is going to be. Dev, do you like the Black Keys? I've never seen the Black Keys. I believe I'm going to go see the Black Keys coming up on Sunday at Everwise. I have never seen them. Anybody seen them on that text line? Let me know if you have, how much you enjoy the Black Keys. I got the text line up right now at 317-239-1070. And hopefully we'll get some answers in your comments to that. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, morning show, 1075thefan.com with a video where it looks like he's got a Where's Waldo shirt rocking right there, which is nice. If you can find one out there, Kevin Bowen joins us. Was that a Where's Waldo shirt you had on the other day?
No, it was not. I believe there was like a USA logo on it. I think I bought it at a something related to the Ryder Cup a few years ago to appease my golf nerdum. But I do have one shirt that looks like a picnic table. People often comment on that whenever I wear it. It's just a button down that they always ask me if I'm going, camping, and if that's my picnic table.
Did you change your attitude on live golf after this past weekend?
No. I mean, I still largely hate. Would definitely hate the competition aspect of it. I think it's a joke, frankly. I think team golf gets really forced at times, and I think it's really forced. But by all accounts, and I was out there pre-tournament. I wasn't out there for any of the tournament days. People that were casual golf fans, they had a good time at it. They enjoyed whatever, the fan elements to it, a little bit more of a maybe minor league baseball feel to it. Somebody made a comparison. It's like the Savannah Bananas in baseball. I'm like, okay, I can kind of, see that sort of atmosphere. The baseball purists probably don't love it. I'm probably more of a golf purist, so I don't love it. But at the same time, look at the crowds for Savannah Bananas. Granted, I'm not going to act like Liv is attracting those crowds, but I do think it's got a nice appeal for people that are just looking for some music to be outside and throw back a drink or two and have no idea who's hitting a golf ball.
Eddie Feiner and the King and his court. Do you remember what that was? This, I'm sure, predates you, and it mostly predates me, but there are some people out there that know what I'm talking about, who had like a zillion strikeouts, softball, fast-pitch softball pitcher back in the day. And the King and his court, they would go across America and play different teams. So is that kind of what you equate live golf to, something like that?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was somebody else made another analogy to me that I thought was pretty good. But yeah, Savannah baseball, minor league baseball, I don't know, globetrottery. I don't know if these are perfect examples of it, but
miniature golf. Remember when Billy Packer used to do miniature golf often?
Of all the references that I thought you might throw out today, I did have Billy Packer at Ben and Ari's off of State Road 37 on there. Something like that. Exhibition meets music, and I did think hearing from people, and I can see why. Taking your kids out there, I did think they had more stuff for kids. I also think, honestly, in-person golf viewing, I think is really tough and, frankly, pretty boring. So, and I say that about, not that I've been to a lot of PGA Tour events. I've probably been to 4 in my life, but the ones that I've gone to, you're not really going there for the party, whereas, it sounded like this definitely had more of that atmosphere to it. It's just odd. Sebastian Munoz shot 59 the first day, which, for those unfamiliar, that's one of the lowest numbers in professional golf history, and he finishes on the first hole in front of like 10 people around the green. It's like, wait, I mean, what? The whole shotgun start is kind of weird, and I'm watching John Rahm tee off on the last day on TV, and it's like Lil Wayne in the background, and then John Rahm teeing off. Don't get me wrong, I like Lil Wayne. Don't get me wrong, I like John Rahm playing golf. I don't know if I like them together, if that makes sense.
So Kevin Bowen, the morning show, 7 until 10 a.m. He and Jeff and James, weekday mornings here on The Fan. Kev's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So if you were with a group, you and your guys down in Bloomington, where would your interest level rank if somebody in the group was going to pay for a round of shots and goes with Jagermeister?
Man, I'd be so pissed. I'd be, just a definite one of those.
Yeah.
Obviously, the person that's buying it certainly better be taking it with us there. Better be chilled. Honestly, Jaeger probably leads to one of the quicker gag reflexes, I think, of any shot that I've probably ever had, now that I think about it. So, yeah, I know we've talked about the Jaggermeister Cup before on air, and every time I think about it, my stomach just starts to get a little cringy there.
Black licorice or the Black Keys? Would you rather see the Black Keys or drink something that tastes like black licorice? What say you, Kevin Bowen?
Yep, probably a little Black Keys action. So are you checking them out on Sunday?
I think I'm going to go, yeah. This may be the first time I've seen an actual band from this era in forever. Normally, to go see them, they've had to have been really popular about 40 years ago.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if you had some Jaeger in the first hour, and if that was, influencing your decision there. But I think that'll be a good time.
Gold on the Ceiling, Howling for You. What's your favorite Black Keys song? Were they from Akron, Ohio, I believe, too? Is that their background? Two dudes from Akron, Ohio?
Yeah, you kind of lost me in trying to get into where they're from.
My bad.
But that, they strike me as a little Midwestern-y, I guess. But, yeah, I think that, honestly, is a good time. Boy, last week I'm trying to think. Klipsch up there had, or Ruoff had, what was it, 50 Cent, or not 50 Cent, what was it, Nelly and Ja Rule? I think they had a little Wayne as well.
Ja Rule stiffed me on the show at the other station once upon a time. He was playing at the Vogue in Broad Ripple and stiffed me. And that's when I started making fun of him trying to rap all the time. Because he grunts. Yeah, great rapper.
He's got one of the deeper, honestly, the only one that has a deeper voice than him is listening to Xavier Howard today. I could barely even hear the guy. But
my lawnmower's a better rapper than Ja Rule, seriously.
Honestly, it kind of sounds like that toilet next to our studio up there on the fourth floor on the circle.
Yes, I do. It's Kevin Bowen who was with us. Ja Rule and Nelly. A lot of people did enjoy it, I guess. But, I'm not a big fan of Ja Rule. Hey, does Anthony Richardson's agent, other than getting a percentage, a cut of his earnings, does he have any legitimate reason to be all bent out of shape with this decision that was made yesterday by the Colts?
I don't think a ton of merit. Yeah, I don't. I know he mentioned we had Stephen Holder on this morning. I know he mentioned maybe a couple of other things, just how, it feels like there's been times where maybe the Colts publicly haven't given Anthony great benefit of the doubt. Shane certainly is not one that clears things up. From the back injury, I think, comes to mind. And, last year when they benched Anthony, I think that was kind of awkward as well with, what Shane was conveying to the public there. So I don't know. Maybe there's a couple other things behind the scenes that we don't know a whole lot of. But, no, this is simply a moment where, I guess if you're the agent, you got to be an agent. But what would be best for Anthony is to sit back and be the backup, and fans will clamor for him. And then if Daniel Jones has the exact same career he's had so far, either he'll play bad or he'll get hurt, and that means he'll get another chance here with at least an offense. I don't see it doing any good, him getting traded tomorrow, going to insert your team here, learning a playbook in a month, and then all of a sudden potentially having to be in a game setting. I think the best chance for him to look, halfway decent in any NFL uniform this year would be right here.
Who is most worthy of blame here? The quarterback that clearly is not ready and looks like an absolute bust, or the group that selected him knowing the background and knowing what needed to be done for him to reach what they expect, or the quarterback / offensive guru that can't get a guy in year number 3 ready to start in week number 1? So what is most to blame in that scenario I just presented?
Well, certainly all the above deserve blame. I would say, to me, it's an organizational failure of the draft pick and the plan itself. So I really think Shane Steichen is as much to blame as Chris Ballard. I think Steichen was very adamant about Richardson in the draft, and how we need game reps and we need game reps and game reps, and now it's like, wait a minute, no, he's got to learn line of scrimmage stuff in meetings, and injuries have contributed to him not learning that stuff. Well, it's like, well, aren't injuries meaning he does get the time in the meeting rooms but not the game reps? So it just all really, the whole plan dating back to April 2023, none of it I think is unfolded in any manner in which the Colts thought was beneficial. And so, again, to me, it is the 4th overall pick, deciding to stay put, not try and offer what, Carolina, had there, and then, to get to the number 1 pick and then have your choice of, who you could have selected there at 1. Obviously Bryce Young could have been that, or C.J. Stroud if you wanted to go in a different direction. And then once you got them in your own building, they've had the same coaching staff. I've always felt this about Chuck Pagano with Andrew Luck. He didn't really mess around with that first offensive staff with Andrew Luck. I mean, it was Bruce Arians and Clyde Christensen as his OC and his quarterbacks coach. Jim Bob Cooter and Cam Turner, they don't have that resume here in Indy. From a backup quarterback standpoint, they went out and they got Matt Hasselbeck, and he was the backup for, the vast majority of Andrew Luck's rookie contract. Gardner Minshew wanted no part of teaching or helping Anthony Richardson along. Joe Flacco certainly wanted no part of that, and Daniel Jones trying to resurrect his career. I think the blame just starts with the draft selection, the plan itself. Obviously, the player deserves some of that as well, but I would start there.
Hey, Kev, is both the best case and the worst case scenario this team winning 10 games?
I guess I can hear you out on that. Are you saying winning 10 games, Daniel Jones then signs like a 3-year extension to stay here? Is that where you're going with that?
And then everybody comes back?
Yeah.
I will say this. I think Carly Ursay-Gordon is going to be more hardcore about this than what people believe that she will be. I do. And I do also want to know, when they go around the room with that particular trio, including Chris Ballard, what the thought was on week 1 of the starting quarterback. But I'm trying to balance what would be the best and the worst, because people around here want to see winning and, like to see maybe a division, certainly want to see a divisional win and a postseason appearance. But if this team, goes above what are the expectations, let's just say, Kev, Vegas has the odds at over 7.5. Let's see, they go to 10 in this situation. Is that, or could that be considered best and worst case scenarios for the future of this team?
Yeah, I would agree on the Carly part, I guess, to start there. I don't think it's just a foregone conclusion. X amount of wins and playoff appearance equals, kumbaya moment, and we're bringing everybody back. I don't think it's that just black and white in her eyes. So I'll be curious if that sort of scenario plays out, if that's exactly what happens. But, I think there's an element of you've watched all of this unfold, and, are you really having the full growth mindset, or are you just going to be stuck in the quarterback purgatory? And, again, you can look at a slew of examples around the league. Kansas City, for example, before Mahomes, they were winning at a fine rate with Alex Smith. They decided, hey, no, we need to do bigger and better. Let's make the big trade up. Let's go get Patrick Mahomes. Buffalo was a playoff team before Josh Allen, and yet they traded up twice to get Allen. Baltimore back into round one to get Lamar Jackson when Joe Flacco, had been their guy for 10 years and was a fine player at that point. Even modern day, you kind of look at Minnesota. Cousins is a fine quarterback, but they felt the need to go get J.J. McCarthy. And, when Darnold and free agency happened this year, Darnold, no, we're not going to bring him back. We're going to let him walk. So I would think that would be on her mind. But, yeah, 10-win season, Jones walks that fine line of what he showed in 2022. Boy, they're going to have a big decision to make. Because, honestly, the Daniel Jones financial decision is bigger and more timely than Anthony Richardson's. Richardson is still under contract for next year. You can pick up the fifth-year team option for him after this season. That's the one decision you have to make. You're not committing. If Jones has a good year, someone's giving him 3 years and whatever, $60 million, whatever Justin Fields got, something like that. And, you have to make that decision right here, right now. And so I think that's what makes it, very difficult.
Kevin Bowen, the morning show, 7 until 10 a.m. That is the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and James coming at you tomorrow morning, Thursday morning once again, with a lot of content for you for 3 hours. I kind of look at this season with expectations. I mentioned the Vegas odds of 7.5 over that right now. What are you thinking about this group?
I probably hover around 8, maybe 9. I do think they've improved their pass catching, and I think Tyler Warren is a great, great talent, and I think they'll have more an ability to, create some yards after catch if Jonathan Taylor can, be kind of a steady force that, he's been through so much of his career. Offensive line is a little bit of a concern. If that takes a step back, I don't know. I think some things could unravel. Defensively, I don't think you can get much worse from a scoring unit. Last year they won 8 with all this quarterback sort of dysfunction. So even if you have some of that quarterback issue again, if you're a little bit better of a pass-catching group and if you take a little step forward defensively, who's to say you're not, right in that same ballpark of 8 or 9 wins. I do think the schedule's a little tougher, particularly the road schedule. So that would be a question mark. And I think schedule-wise, you got to get some of this stuff early. Daniel Jones, I think, walks into a pretty favorable situation with Miami's banged-up secondary, rookie quarterback in week 3. You got the Raiders and Cardinals at home back-to-back weeks. Those are early games, 10 a.m. out west. And so I do think that kind of plays into what should be a positive for you on paper. But, yeah, I'll probably hover right on 8 or 9 wins when it's time to make that call.
So since we normally float with disaster around here, how disastrous would be a 0-2 start for everything going on here?
Oh, boy, that sounds horrific, yeah. Yeah, of all of the bad starts to a season, that would probably be right up there with any. Yeah,
that is such a must-win, and I know everybody giggles when I say that, but if they lose to Miami at home in week 1, regardless of these circumstances we're talking about right now, that does set the stage for an absolute disastrous start with this group.
Yeah, and I'll be really curious to see what that atmosphere is like on September 7th. It's, if he does not get off to a good start, Jones, it'll be – I think it'll be pretty ominous pretty quickly in there. I think. Yeah,
like his first incompletion, that ominous?
Yeah, and obviously, an early turnover, early deficit, those things. And, now vice versa, if you win, hell, you haven't won an opener in 12 years, people might carry him back to his home. So,
there's no doubt. The bar is set relatively low. You're right about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, any exotic outthink in the room offensively packages, short yardage, goal line stuff with Anthony Richardson as the backup?
if I remember correctly, I don't think they did any of that last year when Flacco was in there, and you would think Flacco being much more the statue, you would do some of that. Jones is, definitely not Flacco. So I think they're a little bit more content with Jones as a runner. I don't know. I would think that it's something that you should explore. I do think they'll use Tyler Warren in a variety of ways, short yardage. But yeah, weirdly, same thing with the whole tush push. Colts have never been a tush push team with Steichen and with Richardson. Yeah, I think you would have it in there, but I don't know if he would definitely go to that necessarily. I think it would make a lot of sense, but I'm not 1,000% betting on it. If this was a college football season, or a college football program, that would be a no-brainer, I think, for teams to try and do. But I don't know. For some reason, I don't think it's just an absolute slam dunk from Shane.
So, Kev, did I hear this accurately? You dropped your sunglasses in the porta pot down in the excrement in the blue, and you reached down there and got them. Is this true?
Yeah, Sausage Fest on Saturday night.
No.
Trying to get Max Bowen, trying to get the underwear down to the ankles in time for his potty training to hopefully continue in the old porta potty. And I mean, it's hotter than you know what, and I can feel the sunglasses start to slip. I think I kind of thought they would maybe hit his body and hopefully not fall in, and they fell in. And boy, it was a kind of a fight or flight moment. I don't think I'm super proud of it, but yeah, I did just dig them out would be acting like they were way down there.
Did you soak in it? Like the Palmolive commercial, old school? Did you put your hand in it and kind of soak in it for a moment, or was it on top of whatever it was?
No, thankfully they were a bit floating, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
so it landed on an island is what you're saying right there. That's fortunate.
Right. And then I got home, and boy, I washed those sunglasses like, a doctor washing their hands during COVID. So I was all over it, and I'm really hoping people forget about it. And I don't know if I should have brought it up. People
probably
are
not.
Kind of looking at me at Colts practice like, wait, are those the sunglasses? And I'm like, well,
on your face there. Yeah, I mean, in Sausage Fest, so everybody is eating ample amounts of cured and processed meats. Yeah,
right.
That's tough, right there, man.
Second night as well. I'll probably mention that too.
Second night, yeah. And I imagine they didn't get cleaned.
Yeah,
they didn't.
After
get cleaned.
night one, you're saying that's not necessarily top of mind for them.
Were these like Ray-Ban sunglasses that were expensive, or why did you feel the need to retrieve them?
I do like them. They weren't super expensive. It was. I hate to blame it on just instincts, but it was just so instinctual. It was just, I'm hoping he's not peeing on me, and next thing you know, I just stuck that left hand in there and got him out. And as soon as I did it, I thought to myself, gosh, was that really smart of me? And I felt the need to, offer a little support group, and safe to say people have been pretty disgusted by it.
What did Maddie Bowen think about that instinctual reaction right there? Was she proud of that?
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. No, she wasn't at all. I thought she'd be a little bit more on the supportive front. So, again, not one of my finer moments, but I was scrambling. I was nervous. I was sweating. And next thing you know, they fell in there. And I said, I'm going to get those out of there. And
I think car keys, you got to go after them. And that's unfortunate, but sunglasses.
So car keys, phone, and wallet. You would be digging them out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, probably. Yeah, wouldn't be great. So I'd probably think about where I was. I'm at Sausage Fest, or I guess any porta pot's basically the same kind of situation. So I don't know about sunglasses, though. But I get it, man. Hey, you're honest. That's good. This show's about honesty. Your show's about honesty. Others probably would do the same thing, Kev. So it's all right.
And thank you here to Ryan. Kevin, you're doing much better developing your son at potty training than the Colts have done with Anthony Richardson. Well, thank you, Ryan. If we can spin this in a positive – if we can write a press release about that, that's where I would like to kind of spin it in a positive direction there.
Kev, well done, man. The Fan Morning Show tomorrow morning. He, Jeff, and James have you from 7 until 10. Kevin Bowen's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Always a pleasure, buddy. Have a great rest of the week.
Ja Rule is the toilet next door, John.
Ja Rule. I don't know if I'd do that. I don't know if I'd go to the porta pot out at Ruoff for Sausage Fest. That dynamic at work right there is not great. Carroll Stadium, where it is great. Jagermeister Cup quarterfinals. I'll explain more on the other side. Rakestraw is going to be here. Pat Boylan's going to join us. Charles Arbuckle, too. Stay right there. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Portos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Live from the mic, Jaggermeister Cup quarterfinals with the 11 in Greenville. And we also celebrate National Radio Day across this fine nation. You know me, and you know this to be true. I love radio. I've always loved radio. And some incredibly knowledgeable person once upon a time told me, if you have a job, a career where it doesn't feel like work, then you know you hit the mark 100%. And that's how I feel every day. That's how I feel on Saturday night. I mean, hell, that's why I still do every Saturday night. But National Radio Day. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I complain about all the time. Now, it's about those that are still involved. I've said this before. Last thing I want to do is hear from, now I can't even come up with a name I'm looking for right now. James, what do I always complain about here? I just lost my train of thought on National Radio Day right here. Consultants. Radio consultants can smooch it, because I don't have the time nor the inclination to hear anybody tell me what to do when they've never done it or haven't done it at all to this level in the past. But at the same time, I do appreciate everybody. I mean, everybody that is out there, and you listening, you being a part of this, but also those that continue to perform on whatever level they do in doing radio. I have a great deal of respect for you all out there. And again, I'm sure I'll bring it up before the end of the show. National Radio Day. Not a lot of these national days have too much of an impact on me. This one does, because I love radio. Hopefully that comes out on a 6 days a week basis, either here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan, or certainly on B105.7 on Saturday nights. We also have a text line for you on National Radio Day, 317-239-1070. Hey, JMV, it's Chris Ballard again. I wanted to know your thoughts on a position change for Anthony Richardson. I was thinking maybe tight end. Probably not. I mean, part of the problem is the dude can't stay healthy. All right, Kim is getting a hold of me right now from Tennessee. James has a bone to pick with Eddie Garrison. Should I share that with Eddie Garrison?
Yeah, go ahead.
Should I say it here or just wait for Eddie? Because I guess Kim wants the entirety of a podcast from yesterday.
Oh, I guess we're missing a podcast up on our podcasting page.
So if Eddie is listening or Eddie is still in the building, Kim from Tennessee is upset because the whole podcast was not available, just so you know.
I will pass that on.
Please do. Gritty says, I am completely disgusted by this sunglasses story. Yeah, I'm not going to palm my hand into any porta potty to retrieve sunglasses. Now, if it's keys, car keys, for example, you kind of got to go after that, don't you? But sunglasses, maybe not so much. Jeremy and Cicero writes, takeover request in honor of Kevin Bowen. ZZ Top's cheap sunglasses. Well done right there, brothers. That is well done. JMV, if they play anything from the Magic Potion albums, the Black Keys, you're going to love it. JMV, another one from Tennessee right here. The Colts suck. That's great. Thank you. From Virginia here, 317-239-1070. Love seeing the Black Keys in D.C. around 2012. Dan Arbuckle rewards the crowd fervor by turning up the amplifier. That's from Jonathan Hawkins right there in Virginia. JMV, definitely go see the Black Keys. They're awesome. I saw them downtown and Red Rocks, both incredible. They also bring out the hot chicks, James, according to Scott right here.
Oh.
The hot chicks at the Black Keys show. I think that's on Sunday at Everwise. Yeah, and given my thoughts on Everwise this past weekend, we're going to have to make up for that on Sunday a little bit, I think. Just a little bit right there. Derek is at 239-1070 right now. Derek, thank you for joining the show. How are you?
Hey, JMV, how are you today?
I'm great. Go ahead.
I really have to follow Bowen. You put me in a bad spot.
My bad. Didn't mean to. I should have waited a little bit longer. My bad.
The first thing I want to say is that I'm with you. I think I'm in the 10% of minority that's okay with the decision to put Daniel Jones in. That doesn't mean I'm an AR hater. But I just think if you're done with him, I think they were done with him last year when they benched him. But Flacco played so bad, so they had to bring him back. So I'm okay with it. It's sunk cost. You need to just cut bait and move on if you don't believe in him anymore.
I completely agree. And that's what I felt like. And I remember saying this. I was ready to move on from this entire regime at the end of last year. And the only thing that got me thinking, all right, well, if it's going to be one more year, it's one more year. And I still didn't buy it, and I still don't to this day. But I remember Derek saying that if Richardson – is not the guy next year, why are we going through all this right now? Why have they not hit the reset button? And that's exactly what I felt, the way I felt yesterday, regardless of the quarterback competition or the battle or Daniel Jones being named. Why are you messing around with the same old to go this particular direction? If it's Richardson, maybe that's one thing. But if Daniel Jones beats him out and you're number 3 for week number 1, why are we still messing around with all this, and why has the reset button not been pressed?
And I know you have to move on, but I did want to say 2 things. Fulton told me to tell you that he has another big announcement. I don't know if he's gotten in touch with you yet. And
no,
also,
I'm sure he probably has, yes.
And also, I think I told you this before off air, that Jeff Jr. is a good guy. I used to work for him. That tells you how many jobs I've had. I used to work for him when I lived in Atlanta, and I used to sell investments. He's a good dude. You should stick with him.
Jeff Jr. Well, there's a different Jeff McClure that I work with here from Trajan Wealth, but Jeff Jr., I think, is the owner, right, of Trajan Wealth?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, he's the owner, and I used to work for him. He used to work for another investment company, but he ran the office that I worked in. But I just think it's a small world. The first time I heard his voice on the radio, I knew it was him. But he's a good dude.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Derek, I appreciate that, man. Hopefully we see you out. We're going to be out a lot next week, so hopefully we see you on the road with us, okay?
You'll see me.
I mean a ton, by the way, next week. Corey Hall says, so I go to Everwise for the first time last Thursday for Chevelle, and I thought it was a great venue. Didn't hurt. It was a hell of a show. Everwise, because of its location, especially where I am downtown and I can just walk over there, I think it's a spectacular venue. Spectacular. I wasn't really happy about stuff at the end of last week, but I'll get over it. Cody's on line 2 at 239-1070. Cody, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, JMV?
Cody, what's happening?
I just think with the whole Daniel Jones situation, Shane doesn't want fireworks. He wants consistency. He wants somebody to master the offense, to make the right checks, communicate at a high level, and Daniel Jones is not excused for what happened in New York. But let's face it, with quarterbacks, a change in scenery can be a good thing. Hey, do we really?
So,
how quickly?
I guess people would question this then. If you want that, why'd you feel compelled to draft somebody that had like 13 games and was so raw, and you probably knew that, again, if that's what you were looking for, the lack of big plays and the spectacular plays, you didn't want that. Why did you go that direction? Because he was a part of that decision too, if you remember. Significantly.
That's true. And I think Ballard, I think he was reaching, to be honest. I think he was reaching. To grab a guy that young with that few snaps, that's going to be tough to get him ready to go for the NFL, to make those right reads, to make those good decisions. I understand he's been with the organization for 3 years, but I just don't think he's the guy. I just don't think he's the guy.
I don't think without question he's not only not the guy, but he's going to be a tremendous bust here, one of the biggest quarterback-wise, certainly. I can't – you know what, though, too, Cody? I can't go without not feeling compelled to talk at length about how disappointing it is you have this group of people, and especially Shane, that can't get this guy ready to at least start week 1 in year number 3. You talk about a level of disappointment and operational error. That's what I think about most of all with this group.
Well, we also have to think that Shane Steichen, he's fighting for his livelihood here. He's going to make the decision he's going to go with somebody that is going to win the most games. And people, I think, are so quickly forget about Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. All those guys have resurrected their careers with a chain of scenery.
It's weird. And again, maybe that's when I become like a selfish guy with the position here. But I wouldn't want any of those guys right now. I mean, I know Baker Mayfield has accomplished a great deal, more than the other two in this case. But it like rings hollow to me, Cody, and I know Chris has brought up Baker Mayfield before, Chris Ballard. I go, good Lord, seriously? So you drafted number 4 overall in hopes that you get a reclamation project like Baker Mayfield? I guess everybody was wanting more, certainly around here. Maybe that is because, you had Manning. Everybody loved that. And for 3 seasons, you had luck and you loved that. Maybe that's the feeling here. But I would like to tell you right now, I sure as hell would expect more than any of those 3 guys when you draft number 4 overall in Anthony Richardson.
And I totally get it. I feel like with the Colts fan base, there is a hole in everybody's heart with Andrew Luck and having Peyton Manning. We kind of get numb to the fact that those quarterbacks do not grow on trees, and how lucky we landed Luck the way we did right after Manning. And so I feel like our Colts fan base might have a slightly higher expectation of what a quarterback should be than what it actually is.
Cody, you disappeared. Thank you for the call. You call again soon, too, brother. JMV, you suck, but I love your show. The bottom line, Shane made the decision based on the best chance of winning right now. He knows the Colts blew it by drafting AR, and he was a part of that, by the way, too. And he's looking to save face and win games right now. Not at all looking toward the future. Yes. Thank you. I'll be listening tomorrow. James, you sent something back to the Tennessee call. That's well done out of you right there.
I do what I can.
JMV, I was going to try to hit this before break. I don't know if I have time. JMV, I'm happy that St. Francis will benefit from the Colts' mishaps being serious. I want to see the Colts and the Patriots get back to the rivalry with Peyton and Tom. Patriots, Chris. I think Shane is doing a mea culpa. Our wager on air with St. Francis. That's from Kevin's Beer Wench. I think I dig on the text line right here, 317-239-1070. The mic, that's Carroll Stadium for the Jagermeister Cup quarterfinals, the Indy 11 and Greenville. Greg Rakestraw, Pat Boylan, Charles Arbuckle, the former Colts tight end, all still on the way. Stay right there. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
with JMV.
Attention, whoever you are, this channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza? 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Welcome back to the mic. It is quarter-final round action. Jaggermeister Cup, Greenville, Indy 11. Shout out to Glenn. Where did you find this, Glenn? Is that at Meyer? I would buy this. I just went to the Franklin Meyer yesterday. I love the Franklin Meyer. Glenn has bison ribeye steaks ready to rock. About 25% off at $9.97. I will tell you this, Glenn and anybody else, and it's unfortunate that Meyer does not advertise, at least from what I have heard on this show. They used to. They don't now. They should. But I was at the one in Franklin yesterday, and I like their petite sirloins, at least for the way that I eat right now. Grill great, taste fantastic. I got them for like $2.50 a piece. Just saying. But $9.97 for that right there, Glenn. That is absolutely outstanding. Well, bison ribeye for everybody. All right, 239-1070. We'll get the Grant's call before the top of the hour. But James had mentioned, somebody asked about, hey, Daniel Jones played behind an awful offensive line while in New York. And while that is accurate, again, you're going on, crossing your fingers and hoping. There's always a chance that a change in landscape, whether we're talking about offensive lines, and the Colts have had changes on their offensive line too, maybe a better overall wide receiving core, maybe a better overall team than what the Giants are right now. Maybe there is something significant there where you see a different Daniel Jones. But again, until further notice, we're going on the Daniel Jones that was 20 games below 500 in New York. And what is really bad about that is still clearly, according to the Colts brass, better than year 3, game 1 of Anthony Richardson. But I get what you're saying. And that's, I think, what everybody is crossing their fingers about more so than anything else right here going into week number 1 and the season. If Jones is going to be that guy, then maybe things are going to be different because of how things did go down in New York. And Shane actually brought up yesterday 2022, and we kind of laughed at that a little bit. But, yeah, a lot has to go right. Maybe this is the season for things to finally go right. Maybe so. JMV, the text line might be the greatest thing ever invented. I don't know about that, but I'm digging it right here before me. 317-239-1070. Also, Grant, your call is coming up. Pat Boylan, Charles Arbuckle, Greg Rakestraw, the Mike. That's Carroll Stadium. Indy 11 in action later on tonight. Back with you next with that.
The Ride with JMV.
But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
At the mic on this Wednesday, thank you for joining us, Devs, the on-site engineer with me, James, back at the studio. We'll be back in studio tomorrow and Friday. JMV Takeover Saturday night, B105.7. And then we embark on what is going to be a wild week, including a tavern tour stop at the legendary Sid's in Noblesville. Now, a week from tomorrow, so that's next Thursday, with our friends from Heaven Hill Distillery, Brent Halverson. I talked to him a little bit earlier today, and we'll be ready to go. Not only do we have that next Thursday at Sid's in Noblesville, which is must attend, but Mystic Waters Campground, Pendleton, that is coming up a week from Friday. That starts our Labor Day weekend bender, the third annual at Mystic Waters. So this show, a week from Friday, live at Mystic Waters Campground, right outside of Pendleton off of I-69. And then the JMV Takeover live on that Saturday night, and me staying in a cabin. And I know what you're saying. I don't believe you're going to stay, because normally what you do is you get up in the middle of the night and leave, you clown. I'm going to tell you, I think I'm in it for the long haul this time. I do. But it is going to be an absolute blast. And here is hoping that I see this Labor Day weekend. We're not giving up on this summer without a stinking fight. Let me tell you that. Cannot wait to see you all. Next week is going to be spectacular. So please, if you will, plan accordingly. JMV at 1075thefan.com. When I was a junior at Indiana State, 1994 here, according to Will. My girlfriend and I, we go to Lollapalooza at the then Deer Creek Music Center. My girlfriend goes to the porta potty. James, are you ready for this? As soon as we arrived, dropped her keys in the blue gunk. The boyfriend from the other couple went elbow deep.
Oh, no.
This is Lollapalooza. Elbow deep to get the keys. His arm was blue stained for the rest of the night, and then some. That was Smashing Pumpkins and Beastie Boys as the headliner. You know what's interesting about that, James?
What's up?
I may have gone in that porta potty because I was at that show.
So what you're saying is they may have had a little bit of JMV on their arm.
You could have a little bit of JMV.
Ugh.
I do remember I was in the porta potty. I don't know. I was a mess. Can I just say I was a mess?
You were fighting a battle?
I was fighting a battle. I was waging a battle. And I do remember being in a porta potty when Smashing Pumpkins were playing Today. That was one of their big songs back then from Siamese Dream. And they were playing Today. And I may have been barfing in the porta potty. I don't know. Because I didn't want anybody to see me barf. But I was somewhat unrecognizable at that moment. But, damn, that was a great Lollapalooza. But, yeah, Will, thank you for that story. Maybe a little bit of JMV in that porta potty back in 1994 at the then Deer Creek Music Center. A revolting development in joining us right now, I'm sure, for our good friend Pat Boylan on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. This is not at all what you thought you were going to get as an intro, is it?
I've stopped predicting what I'm going to get as an intro. I just go with the flow here. You never know. So predicting would be a false errand.
If you dropped your sunglasses in a porta potty, would you go after them?
Not a chance.
If you dropped your keys in a porta potty, would you go after them?
Oh, gosh. I would probably try to MacGyver some tool together to do it. I genuinely don't think I could go after it without a tool.
Do you have a friend that carries a clothes hanger? Would you try to do that? It's like one of these carnival games. Can you fish your keys out of the porta potty with a clothes hanger?
Oh, I would probably, you know what? I would probably auction it off to the lowest bidder that I could find.
Yeah, that's understandable. Hey, Pat, have you ever been to Lollapalooza, any of them?
I have not, no.
Pat, would you go see the Black Keys on Sunday if you had the opportunity?
Sure, why not?
Pat,
I enjoy life.
If you were with a group of friends,
yeah,
and one of your friends decided to order you a shot of Jagermeister, which is a Jaeger bomb, would you drink or would you go, no, I'm okay?
You know what? That for a while was a drink of choice in college. I don't know that I've had it since like 2013 maybe, but on nostalgia alone, if I didn't have to work the next day, you could probably talk me into it.
See, I think that Jagermeister and Jaeger bombs in particular, I think it's gross and douchey at the same time. I didn't know that Muncie was that douchey back in the day, was it?
Well, it's certainly gross. I don't know about the other one. It's certainly gross. You know, when I was in college, we won a Halloween dress-up contest at what's Dill Street Bar, and the prize that we won was actually this Jagermeister dispenser machine. Like you have maybe seen them at the bar, but it was this dispenser machine that we got to bring back home, and that was like the coolest thing you could possibly have.
Wow! Back
in 2013 in your college house.
So that's where the bottles go upside down and it comes out chilled, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Man. Yeah. See, that's the only way you can do it is chilled. But I always frown upon the dude that said, hey, I'm buying a round. Who wants a Jaeger bomb? I go, come on, man. Seriously? A Jaeger bomb?
It sounded like a great idea 12, 13 years ago. It sounds like a horrible idea now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I just bring that up because I'm here at the mic this afternoon where the Indy 11 and Greenville match up in the quarterfinals of the Jaggermeister Cup. Now, if the Indy 11 win, do you get to drink a Jagermeister out of the cup? Because I would defer. Oh, okay. So I'm trying not to offend Jagermeister while I'm here too, Pat. You think I'm doing a hell of a job?
I was going to say, I wasn't expecting that to sponsor.
Oh, I think that they kind of know what you're getting into with Jagermeister, right? I mean, you got people that pretty much have these definitive opinions about it one way or the other. I would imagine.
You don't have anybody who doesn't have an opinion on Jager, right?
Exactly. All right. I know you've covered sports. You've watched sports for a long time, and it's been woe is us with injuries really regarding any of the professional sports teams around here for so many years. But have you ever been around anything like the Indiana Fever right now with this mass unit that they have on the bench? It is, to me, absolutely incredible what they've gone through.
Yeah, it's really been, a bummer to put it lightly. The only thing that I can think of, my very first year here with the Pacers and the Fever, I was hired about a month after Paul George broke his leg with Team USA. And if you remember that team, that would have been the 14-15 season. Early on in the year, had Paul George, George Hill, David West, Roy Hibbert, all suffering injuries kind of simultaneously, and they went into a month of the season without a ton of guys. And that's the only thing that even I think is comparable to this. It's so frustrating because the moment that you get somebody back, it feels like one step forward, two steps back. You suffer, two season-ending injuries in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago with Sidney Colson and Ari McDonald. You suffer the one the other day with Sophie Cunningham out in Connecticut. You're still hoping to get soon Caitlin Clark back and hoping that is the case. And you just look at this group right now, and it's amazing. I had this conversation with Jake a few days ago. I mean, it's amazing how many different iterations of this team there have been, from the version of the team you saw at the beginning of the season and expected this team to be roster-wise at the end of the year. Look, health and injuries happen to everybody, and there seemed to be a rash going around the WNBA of injuries to other teams and key players too. So the Fever are not alone in the injury category, but they are, I would say, alone in terms of the vastness of the injuries they've suffered. And the only other thing I'd add is if you think about everything that's happened, this is the third injury to Cunningham. They don't have Colson. They don't have McDonald the rest of the way. Caitlin Clark has missed almost 2/3 of the year. Look, I know 19-16 is not a flashy record, But it is, in my opinion, pretty impressive because it's a better record than this team had last year when Caitlin Clark played the whole year and injuries never really came into play. So to have your head above water here, I think, is a real accomplishment. But, it goes without saying you can ill afford many, if any, more of these. I mean, you're just in such a difficult position, and in the WNBA especially, when you can only keep 12 players on a roster, and oftentimes teams have that down to 11 because of where the salary cap is. You just don't have the depth of an NBA roster, which goes 18 guys deep when you count the two-way players. So, you've seen these hardship contracts and the 7-day contracts and all those players coming in and coming out, and I'm sure the Fever have to lead the WNBA in most hardship players signed this year.
It's Pat Boylan, who is the voice of the Fever, also does all that work on the Pacer Radio Networks on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. The Fever at home against the Lynx coming up on Friday. We got the word today regarding, from Stephanie White, when you see, Caitlin Clark out there, that's when we can start talking about her playing again. And I guess that's kind of understandable when you're going through something like this. But I thought you brought up a great point that sometimes gets lost in this, oh, woe is us injury shuffle, being 3 games above 500 and having to endure all this. There is something significant to be said positively about that. That's a hell of an effort.
I really think it is, and it goes back to just a ton of resiliency that you've seen from this team, and no better example probably than the game on Sunday in Connecticut. The Fever go down 21. They don't have Cunningham. They don't have Clark. They don't have McDonald. They don't have Colson. Connecticut is not a good team, but to overcome a 21-point second-half deficit amid all of those circumstances is really, really impressive. And, this team at the beginning of the year, if you would have said 19-16, going into game number 1, that would have felt disappointing. But when you look at all the circumstances this team has faced and the lack of lineup continuity, and it's felt like there have been, 6 different versions of this team. And again, we're talking over a 44-game season. And sometimes I make this comparison because I know there have been a lot of longtime Pacers and NBA fans that have started following the last few years. In a 40 last year or 44-game season this year, you get about half of the time that an NBA team gets. And the Pacers really didn't get going until game 25-30 this past year, and we saw them ride that all the way to a game away from a championship. Well, you just don't get that luxury in the WNBA. If you have injury troubles like this at this degree, they're just tough to overcome. And so to be 19-16 here, I mean, you're still in the thick of the playoff hunt. And if you can get Caitlin Clark back, you've still got 2 other All-Stars on this roster. As frustrating and as tough at times as the injuries have been to take, I still think you can look at this and say you've got your head above water and your best days still could be ahead of you. But at the same time, the season does end here in just a few weeks. So we are closing in on the finish line. September 9th is the final game. There's a bunch of games jam-packed in here, really starting with this Friday. The Fever go about every other day the rest of the way. So they'll certainly be tested here down the stretch, and obviously lineup availability will be a big part of that and how they can finish out their season. But there's no reason they shouldn't be in the playoffs, and they still are fighting for home court advantage in the first round, which I think is impressive considering the circumstances and all of the lineup changes and the injury troubles they face.
Should there be some talk regarding Kelsey Mitchell and MVP for the role that she has played through all of this season?
Yeah, I think in those questions, I always ask, how do you frame conversation? Because I think Nafisa Collier is probably the MVP, at least right now, and Asia Wilson is probably the runner-up. But when you talk about conversation, in my opinion, just like you were last year with Caitlin Clark, you're talking about the top 4 or 5 players. There's no question that Kelsey Mitchell deserves to be talked about in that grouping of players. She's 3rd in the league in scoring. What she's done without Caitlin Clark out there has been, in my opinion, the individual most important thing that the Fever have gotten, and the biggest individual reason the Fever are 3 games over 500. The play of Kelsey Mitchell has been spectacular. And look, it's been far from her. Aaliyah Boston's played really well. Natasha Howard's been good. I think the coaching staff has done a great job in keeping all of this together when easily the wheels could have fallen off. But you're talking about a player that is putting up pretty rarefied air numbers here and set the the record for the most points in a game this year in her last game. So I absolutely think she deserves in the conversation. Is she going to win it? Odds are probably no. I think that probably goes to Collier, or if Collier were to end up, being injured for a few more weeks, maybe Wilson or Thomas slip in there. But when you're talking about the top 4, 5, 6 players in the WNBA this year, there's no question in my mind that Kelsey Mitchell's in that conversation.
Here's Pat Boylan and Rick Carlisle's in that conversation for the best head coaches, certainly in the NBA right now, and will be a Hall of Famer one of these days, and got extended, and rightly so, earlier this week. And a shout-out to the Pacer head boss.
Yeah, no question. I mean, we talk about overcoming adversity and obstacles here over the last few months that the Fever have overcome, and I think everybody remembers the Pacers story and will remember the Pacers story of the 24-25 season for a long time. But it's really amazing to think where that team was in early December, which was, are they going to be a play-in team? At one point, they were even outside of the play-in tournament, which is outside of the top 10. I think in early December, maybe late November, somewhere around there. And for them to turn that around and have the season they have, I don't need to explain just how impressive and how special of a year it was. But we're lucky to have him here. I remember when the announcement kind of came that the Dallas breakup was happening, if you will, and Rick Carlisle was going to end up in a different direction. And, there were a lot of people saying, can you get Rick Carlisle here? Can you get Rick Carlisle here? And, I was hopeful, but I thought it might be just a little bit too pie in the sky. And they got it done. The Simons got it done. The front office got it done. And for him, hopefully to want to be here for the rest of his career, I think it's massive. He's, in my opinion, clearly a top 5 coach. When you look at the job that coaches did last year and you include the postseason in that conversation, I would say he did the best coaching job of anybody in the NBA last year. And, yeah, thrilled to see the news that he'll be around for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And then coaching the lights out this season, I cannot wait for this season to start because I, again, have so much of a belief, probably more so than most out there, in what this team can accomplish even without its star coming up in 25 and 26. Pat Boylan with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group line. A lot of good Q&A right there. I appreciate you. And are you a part of the broadcast coming up on Friday, right?
Yeah, so the Friday broadcast is the same situation that we had last Friday. These are broadcasts that are on ION, so it's not our actual local crew. But Debbie and I do get to call it, so you will hear a familiar voice. ION is the network this weekend, and then we will be continuing with our coverage on Sunday as well. So you have a home-and-home with Minnesota, top team in the league. Their best player has been out, so not clear yet if Nafisa Collier will be playing in either or both of those games. I think it's a pretty key couple games here. If you could split the pair, the final stretch of schedules, not too difficult. You could maybe string a few together, but they'll certainly be tested here this weekend, and we'll look forward to talking to all of you on ION.
So what will follow you guys on ION on Friday? Do you know the programming?
If you were to ask me to predict, I might with the first pick in the ION post-Fever draft. Well, it'll probably be a game. It'll be a different WNBA game.
Okay, so it won't be like a very special episode of Family Ties or anything like that, right?
I was going to go with Hawaii 5-0.
I watch Magnum PI twice every evening. Seriously, like the old school Magnum PI with Rick and TC and Tom Selleck. It's on something. I think Get. I think it's Great Entertainment Television or whatever that is on channel 83 on my DirecTV every weeknight. Back-to-back Magnums after back-to-back-to-back Rockford Files. Can you beat that?
Oh, I don't think you can. I'm actually on my TV right now, and I'm scrolling through ION just to kind of check some of their programming. But possible selections include Chicago PD. Let's see, NCIS. That's a possibility. Blue Bloods.
Yes. Blue Bloods. That's Tom Selleck right there, isn't it?
Okay.
Blue Bloods. Yeah. Hey, by the way, did you watch Family Ties? You're too young to have watched Family Ties, right?
I did not watch Family Ties, no.
Okay, so I was going to ask you a trivia question. Do you remember what incredible actor that is as well known as anybody now had a couple of guest spots as the unfortunate alcoholic Uncle Ned on Family Ties back in the 80s? Can you name that actor?
The degree to which you are over my head is perhaps inconceivable.
Yes. Tom Hanks played Uncle Ned on Family Ties. He had a problem with alcohol. Significant problem did Uncle Ned back then. I think he also embezzled money from a bank. So he had some issues.
Sadly, Family Ties was a little, not a ton before my time, but it was a little before my time.
I got you. Pat, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for playing along and being a part of it. I appreciate it.
Hey, I don't know that we'll ever be able to top the intro conversation, but I appreciate it.
We'll damn straight try, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
So Pat Boylan right there, the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Uncle Ned? I know, Joe, you knew that he played Uncle Ned, right? I did not. In Family Ties. Actually, one of the reasons why I know is because the episode is on behind us right here with Uncle Ned. He actually, I think, slapped Alex once in a drunken fit of rage. Oh, my. True story. And then I thought Steve Keaton was going to beat the hell out of him, but he didn't. Hey, 239-1070. James, we still have callers there. I owe Grant a call here before the break. Grant, thank you for joining the show. How are you?
Good, JMV. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Love that, Grant. Thank you. What's up, bud?
Yeah. I mean, I think the Colts. I think we made the wrong decision, but I'm looking forward to IU football this year. I graduated in 2010, and I went to every single game. That's my claim to fame. But when Terry Hepner passed, we kind of went downhill. But anyway, have season tickets. Really excited, and the Bison's coming back. First game of the season. I don't know if you knew that. And my question to you is, I think the over/under is 8.5. I'm taking the over. What are you doing?
Until it's kind of like I've talked about the Colts until further notice. Kurt Cignetti has given me no reason, especially when you go out as he has done either at JMU or his first year at IU, and getting a quarterback, a veteran type of guy like he did with Curtis Rourke a year ago and he did prior at JMU. I firmly believe in him. I do. So I would take the over on it this season. I know a lot of people are going to take the under and are going to think that's a flash in the pan. I just don't think he is. I don't think this group is. Don Fisher told me a couple of weeks ago this offensive line is going to be the best we have seen them have in forever down there. They've got some playmakers, skill position players, and they have a high-level quarterback that hopefully with this O-line is not going to have to run for his life as he did at Cal this past year. So I like the odds of IU hitting that over this season. I do.
Yeah, let's go. Thank you for taking my call.
Grant, you got that. Thank you. Quick break. We shall return. Family Ties. Uncle Ned right there. Tom Hanks. I think that was after Bosom Buddies. Remember Bosom Buddies? I do. Yeah. I think it was after that. I think Bosom Buddies had a 2-year run. Quick break. We shall return. I know Joe Gentry is going to rejoin us here at the mic in a second, too, getting set for the Indy 11 later on tonight. But from the Colts Radio Network, the former tight end, Charles Arbuckle. We'll talk a little Colts with Charles coming up on the other side. Also, very interesting note on the depth charts of the Colts, which was released today, and especially a starter. But this is not the position you think that I would be talking about. That's coming up on the other side. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Good day, sir. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, we drafted him where we drafted him for a reason, at the 4th overall pick because of the talent. And, he got thrown into the fire and he ended up getting injured. You know what I mean? So that's, you go back on those situations and look at it and where we're at as a football team and drafting him that high and putting him in that situation to go out and go through the lumps and the bruises of, a rookie quarterback. And then, obviously, getting injured week 4, wasn't ideal.
Shane Steichen from yesterday, too, back at the mic. More on that with Joe Gentry coming up in a minute, too. Maybe not the most interesting thing regarding the Colts roster as of right now at starter is not so much Daniel Jones, and that's been all the dialogue we've had for the past 2 days, but Xavier Howard, who is 32 years of age and has been here for about 5 seconds, is listed on the depth chart as a starter at corner. Now, I will also say I think there was an emergence, if you will, of both Juju Brents and Jalen Jones a little bit earlier today. We'll get into that. But Xavier Howard on the depth chart is listed right now as a starter, and he's been here all of 5 minutes. He certainly has been here longer than that. He's a friend of the show, has such a staple in doing collegiate games, and now is a part of the Colts radio network. The former Colts tight end joins us now on the Indy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Charles Arbuckle is with us. So of all the drama, everything that's going on surrounding the quarterback situation, what have been your thoughts on the past 2 days about the team you're covering this season?
JMV, the hardest part for me was letting my mind, my head make the decision instead of my heart. I like Anthony. I think the folks there have grown to like him. He's a really likable guy. Just seems to, just doesn't give you any trouble. Has really progressed well, very young. But he still shows a maturity that I like about him. The problem for me was even when I was going to practice, the few times that I've seen them practice, and then also in the game situations, it wasn't the plays that he made, it was the plays that he didn't make. Let me say that again, and I want people to really think about that. It was the plays that he didn't make, and it was the little things, getting the ball to the running back where he could run and make a play, because that keeps drives alive. Throwing the ball to the tight end or the receiver coming across the field where they can catch it and run and turn up the field and make yards. The great quarterbacks can do that. And I'm not saying that Anthony can't be great, but he hasn't had enough reps to do that consistently and make those throws that Daniel Jones has done for 70 starts, 69 starts, however many times he started in the NFL. And he was a $14 million insurance policy. So, again, when you look at this, I always charted that even in practice and in the games. Is he making the routine play? And the routine play to me, and I think everybody got blown out of proportion when he got that sack and gave up. That was not good for him. But it was those little bitty throws, not the one, even this past weekend to Anthony Gould where it got called back against Green Bay. That was a pinpoint pass. But I saw that when I came to a game live before. I've seen that when I watched him play, but I haven't seen the routine plays to the running back, to the receiver, to the tight end, to allow them to then turn up the field and make the play. So in the big scheme of things, it was hard for me to keep saying that AR is going to start if he can't just do those consistently. And especially when I watched other quarterbacks during the preseason make those throws. When you watch consistently some of the younger guys, some of the guys that have been around, some that are now, you're saying that's what you want to see. And for whatever reason, that allowed Daniel Jones to stay close. And then finally, when he had that drive where they got in position, they didn't score points, I think those kind of things were what Shane and his staff looked at. They had to, because that's what I saw as a player. And here's the thing that I love. Michael Pittman and all the other guys still said, we love Anthony. But in football, you can't allow somebody, especially at the NFL level, to learn on the job. You just can't. And that's the sad thing for me, where my heart played a role for him, because I know how much work he put in. I could see the changes in what he was doing with his footwork. but it wasn't always translating, and it wasn't always allowing him to release and unlock the things that the Colts have been looking for him to do.
Charles Arbuckle, the Colts Radio Network, the former tight ends on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Somebody asked me this a little bit earlier, and you could give much better opinion because you were an actual player in the NFL. But do you think that there are situations that are so much better that would allow you to believe that things landscape-wise can be much different with the outcome here in Indy over how the first 6 seasons for Daniel Jones went with the Giants?
See, that's the other $1 million question. We won't know until the games start. We really won't, because Daniel has a propensity sometimes, and this has got him in trouble since he's been a young player, to think I can do hero ball. And you can do that in high school, you can do that in college, but you get to the pros, you've got to trust the weapons that you have around you, or you just live to see another day. And then I will say this too, when you have so many different offensive coordinators in your ear, and then you have Brian Daboll, who I don't think at the end was really treating Daniel with any sense of modicum of respect consistently. I'm not saying he was a bad dude or anything like that. I just don't think – I think he was ready to move on, and Daniel was ready to move on. And now this has allowed him this opportunity, because it was said in that press conference he doesn't have to worry about looking over his shoulder. But let's say they get to a point in the season, they're rolling pretty well, and then he starts to struggle. You still have to keep Anthony engaged and involved. So I think that's what we have to see. I won't know that until we start in September. I really won't. I won't really understand what Daniel's improvements have been until we see that from the first part of the season through the middle of the season through the end, if he stays healthy.
It's really tough to understand, other than the dynamic that Shane Steichen wants somebody that obviously can lead an offense, which he does not feel or believe that Anthony Richardson can do right now. What do you think is the category Daniel Jones best benefits this offense for it to play, hopefully sooner rather than later, Charles, to the best of its ability?
Mm-hmm. So in basketball terms, he's a point guard that's going to distribute the ball and not want to shoot, right? He is a guy that can just give the ball to the people that need to make the plays, because we've seen the ability of that with this team. They have guys that can make plays. If you look up and down this roster, Josh Downs, when he's healthy, what he can do. A.D. Mitchell, who I think had teased us last year in training camp and teased us even more this year. I'm waiting to see A.D. step up, and I think this is the year. And I think Reggie has been in that head enough to help him with that. Reggie Wayne, his position coach. Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce. I mean, they've got some dudes. And then the tight end position, I would say the tight end position is going to be really, really strong if these guys all stay healthy, whether it's Tyler Warren, Mo Alley Cox, or Jelani Woods. Drew Ogletree showed some things. They've got a bunch of dudes there that can make plays for them. It's just a matter now of saying, okay, and let's not forget about JT. And DJ Giddens has done a really nice job, and that was the first guy that I saw when I went to practice. The first day I was watching them saying, this 21 is good. And then I saw it more and more. So I think with that said, if this offensive line can play and protect, the tackles worry me a little bit and so far in camp, but I haven't seen the starters enough to know if that's just one of those things that they're working out or if it's going to be. But I think if Daniel can distribute the ball like a point guard, you call it game manager, I don't care what you call it, but you call it getting the ball to the guys that can make plays for you. That's what this offense is designed to do, because this defense is going to turn the ball over. They're going to make plays on the defensive end. And I think they're going to pressure more this year. They will give the ball back to the offense. Now, can the offense score enough points and put themselves in a position not to turn the ball over like they have had a propensity to do over the last few years?
He is Charles Arbuckle. Before I let you go, I mentioned this when I brought you on the air, so I guess Juju Brents and Jalen Jones are the ones. Hopefully they're going to be healthy. We can focus in on. We know that Kenny Moore was back. Thoughts on Xavier Howard? Because all that we know basically is he didn't play a year ago. He's a former Pro Bowler, but he's 32, and it's hard to turn back the clock at that particular position on the football field And then what do you think about him, at least as of right now, being listed as the starter in that Colts secondary?
Yeah. Well, they've had so many injuries back there, JMV. I mean, starting with Justin Wally, who I felt so bad for him because I know he had worked his tail off and was in a position to help this team. Juju Brents, who can't seem to stay on the field. It's just, Jalen Jones, who has been injured but has a lot of talent and I think can really play well. That's what's given Xavier the opportunity to come in and be the starter off the street, so to speak, because he has cachet. He has done it. He has shown you what he can do in the past. And I think that's the one thing with this team and this secondary. They're going to be ball-hawking guys. They're going to give up some plays now. You're going to see guys get toasted occasionally because they're going to be so aggressive. But I think that's what Lou Anarumo wants out of this team consistently. And I say that's why you see him starting, and that's why when Kenny Moore gets healthy, he'll be there ball-hawking. You'll see that out of this team, out of this defense that's designed to attack up front, and guys in the back go attack the football.
Charles, it is always a pleasure. We'll do this a hell of a lot more, man. I appreciate you, and we'll check in before the start of the season coming up here, okay?
Hey, man, appreciate it. Always good talking to you guys.
Right back at you, buddy. Charles Arbuckle, Colts Radio Network on the Indy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We'll take a break, get Joe Gentry back on here before the Indy 11 encounter Greenville tonight. But how about ESPN and their new era of wrestling with WrestlePalooza? Have you guys seen this, you wrestling fans? Maybe mark your calendar, September the 20th. WrestlePalooza. I'll explain and get Joe Gentry on here for a final time coming up. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. Dave Barga was the winner. Miss Come Go Getter was the winning horse. $6.80 on a $2 bet, $2 exacta. $378.40 a robust 50-cent trifecta at $405.25. 50-50 in betting and dining. For Dave, Harris Hoosier Park race of the day, Tuesday through Friday on the 5 o'clock hour. Your chance to win. Just follow my X handle at JMV 1070. Pick your horse, and you could win the Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. WrestlePalooza, September the 20th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse is what it's called. It's the final time they say you can see John Cena wrestle in Indy. WrestlePalooza, that event on ESPN, which was announced in the past hour. Greg Rakestraw, Joe Gentry, Indy 11, Greenville later on tonight. Greg, we'll start with you because you and Brad Ring have the call on My Indy TV beginning at 7 tonight.
That is a factual yes.
Yes, indeed. What are we looking forward to? A little shot of Jagermeister for you before you guys go on?
Well,
the
I mean,
Jagermeister Cup?
As opposed to you, that's not how I start my show. I know you do that with, Hammer and Nigel. I save it for the post-game show.
Not that everybody knows.
Right. They know now since I told them that. That is most of John's nutritional value these days, by the way, is one shot of Jagermeister and maybe like 4 ounces of tuna, and that's your day, and you move on to the next one.
Yeah.
No, tonight is the quarterfinals of the Jagermeister Cup. 38 teams started the competition. Greenville is the only team that is from League One, the league that is technically below us on the American soccer pyramid, food chart, whatever the case may be. Indy has won their 2 matches against other League One competition this year. Indy has not been playing well as of late, other than in this competition. So hopefully they'll revert to their competition form and move on to the semifinals on September the 10th.
So why have they not been playing well? What's the reason behind it?
It's a good question. Not from a lack of effort. Just simply put, they in June and July played a lot of 1-0 games and won those, which is kind of how I think we probably need to play given the personnel we have. As of late, that's not been going well for the team. 3-2 loss against Loudon on Saturday night with all 5 goals coming in the second half. The thing that bothered me about that game was the amount of possession that we seceded to Loudon. And Loudon is a good team, but Loudon's a team that has been struggling. But the possession ratio was 65-35 in favor of them. The week before, it was a similar number against Detroit City, but there is a very reasonable explanation for that in the fact of we were a man down for 60 minutes in that match. You would have thought we were a man down given how things played out last Saturday night. So we still were able to kind of nick a couple of goals, but couldn't hang on to a lead. I saw this stat from the league earlier today. We have lost the most points from a winning position of any team in the league, and that's not good. So hopefully that doesn't happen tonight because, frankly, in this competition, we have yet to trail in the 4 matches that we have played here in the Jagermeister Cup. So hopefully we find better things this evening.
That is Greg Rakestraw. Joe Gentry's in here as well for the Indy 11. What time do gates open, Joe?
6 o'clock.
So just coming up here at the top of the hour, 6 o'clock. Tickets are available for one hell of a fun time.
$15 for any seat in the house tonight.
There's nothing wrong with that. And then, by the way, you guys are back at it coming up on Saturday,
All
correct?
things Indiana Saturday. We're honoring Cam Lindley, the pride of Carmel, Indiana. That's a 7 o'clock kick against Miami FC.
Yes. Greg's going to have that, too. That means the JMV takeover call or not?
Yes, you will get a JMV takeover call. Yeah. But I pulled this double off last Saturday.
You can't do it this weekend.
Unless I get unless you find the proper car that would be like a redneck Autobahn car, as you like to say. I can't make it from Cincinnati to here in a timely enough fashion, which is why I'm going to do the post-game show from Cincinnati. But Joey Lindstrom will be sitting in for me on the television call of Indy 11 in Miami.
Joey Lindstrom.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, look at you.
He's the Reese Charles Cook of the broadcast team. He gets a couple of matches a year. This is his second appearance of the season.
And then high school football gets underway for you on Friday night.
Correct. Lawrence Central and Lawrence North. I'll be at LM, which is a place that Joe knows very well since his wife was a teacher there before her retirement. So, but LN's going to be really good again this year, and it's the second straight year those two guys have played each other as the season opening game. So you can catch that on My Indy TV 23. Same place you get to watch tonight's match and the same time, 7 o'clock.
Now, I know that that's a great game for you. Is that the most interesting game on the schedule, you think, throughout the state of Indiana as we get underway Friday?
The fact that Warren Central and Center Grove are getting back together is a great thing.
It is.
And some of the mixed schools that had dropped Center Grove, you're noticing they're starting to kind of reappear back on the schedule. Frankly, Warren and Center Grove should see each other in the regional, kind of the way they're drawn against each other. Warren had a great defense last year, kind of below average offense. I think they can be as good. They've got a lot of young guys on defense this year, but they have two of the best recruits in the state in Caleb Elkins and Jeremy Finch Jr., and I feel old having covered his dad as a player about 20 years ago, and now Jeremy is a top-notch player as well. Center Grove has a new quarterback. They think very highly of him. That's number 3 versus number 6. So, frankly, to me, the headliner game is probably at Warren Central on Friday night.
And we should mention, too, you've got Colts and Bengals coming up on Saturday.
I do. So 1 o'clock, Joe Wright's with me on that one. And so on this past Saturday, I did television, radio, television.
I know.
This week, I will do television, radio, and I will play a game. How quickly does B1057 come in on I-74?
What do you think? Does it get by Greensburg?
I think because of the way the hills are down there. My guess is somewhere around the Sunman Mile and exit 156. I will be calling you so I can hear my phone call on the show.
Love that. Greg Rakestraw's got you on My Indy TV with Brad Ring later on tonight.
Yes, we do.
7
An hour
o'clock.
from now.
You
And
got
ESPN
that.
Plus.
Yeah, ESPN Plus as well. And Joe, gates open at 6.
We're undefeated with you coming out this year.
Yes.
Let's keep it that way.
And the weather stays away.
We'll see you here Saturday night, John.
You will not have Jagermeister for everybody if you guys win tonight, will you?
That is correct.
Just those in this room. That's it.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
See ya.
It's Greg Rakestraw with us, Joe Gentry with us. I got to thank everybody for allowing us to be out here today. Dev, great job by you, the on-site engineer. James back in the studio. Pat Boylan, Charles Arbuckle, Kevin Bowen, Lance McAllister, the podcast, 1075thefan.com, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Well done out of you. I'll go ahead and look at the right thing, too. I like the text line, too. We'll do it again tomorrow back in studio. Have a great night with 93.5 and 1075 The Fan.